Welcome to CEO Habits That Build Trust.
All right, all right. We are live. Hello, good afternoon, Joe. How's it going?
Great, thanks. How are you?
I am doing absolutely amazing. It has been such a great day today, like just getting things done.
It's good to
Like I think
know.
these are, yay, I chose right. I was like, where are our names?
Awesome. All right, let's do a little intro.
Definitely. Well, hey guys, so this is our third live stream of the last 3 weeks to help you guys understand what it means to be a CEO inside your business. So, over the last 3 weeks, we've been having some really nice conversations. So, the first conversation was CEO habits that create momentum. So, how do you get out of your brain, get over discipline, get out of that motivation hamster wheel, and get into getting things done? So, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch that one. Last week on Tuesday, we did another conversation called CEO Habits that that keep you in control. I knew that.
Yeah.
So, CEO Habits that keep you in control. So, how to make sure that people are not running your day for you. So, we talked about the difference between having boundaries and having expectations, setting rules, having standards for your time, other people's times, business, and keeping things moving forward. And today's conversation, my dear friend Joe, today's conversation is all about CEO habits that build trust. That is trust between in yourself, trust in your team, and trust in your business. Are you ready, Joe?
I sure am. All right. So, my name is Joe Abreu, and I'm the founder of Glovizer and also the author of the Profit Optimization Program, also known as POP. That helps business owners really identify what's really important, how to improve their businesses, and how to get to the next level. And we've taken that and worked together with Charletta. We've actually set up these videos for the last 3 weeks, all leading up to a live event that's going to be held in Tampa, January 7th. It's an all-day event, CEO Habits. And we want to make sure that everyone, if you want to find out more, make sure you go to the description below and click on the link so you can find out more. Also, our LinkedIn accounts are also down there. So if you want to connect with us and chat a little bit more or ask any questions, please feel free to do so at any time.
Absolutely. I love answering people's questions. I do get them after the during the replays. I'll get random questions throughout the week, and it's like the best feeling ever to know that what I'm saying is actually getting across and making a lot of sense to people.
Yeah.
All right, so Joe, you're gonna kick us off here. So
All right.
I got a question for you.
All right.
So, what do you wish people trusted you with more? So, like, would be your time, your role, your decisions. Like, where do you feel people kind of just drop off on the trust train?
All right. I think that's important, especially because I work with so many different business owners all the time in many different aspects. Either we're partners or we're coaching or we're just working on a specific project. And because I am scattered all over these different realms and different industries, sometimes to these individuals, they feel that maybe we're not dedicating enough time. And the thing is that I have this like random schedule that I work. So I literally work more than full time, but
Mm-hmm.
I work at different hours. So
Right.
I'm working at 10 p.m., at midnight, sometimes at 6 a.m. So I'm scattered all over the place. So I think the trust part is if they just trust that the work is going to get done, which it always does. We always, hit our numbers, we succeed. But it's just that in the beginning, I think that they once they don't know how the process works.
Absolutely. Like, I think for a lot of people, like, we believe that time is like one of those constrictors. But like I was telling people, like, no, last week for us was Thanksgiving here in the US. And I had 3 meetings on Thanksgiving Day. And like everyone's that's like, who has meetings on Thanksgiving? I was like, well, my calendar's not closed because dinner takes like 2 hours. I cooked yesterday. But other than that, like people I'm working with are either in the UK where they're not celebrating Thanksgiving, or they're in Canada where Thanksgiving was in October, or one of them, he's in Australia. So for him, it's Friday morning.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Mhm.
this is just when business is happening. And so it's like just understanding, like trusting that time is not a constraint. Time is available to all of us. And
Yeah.
that, like, I just want you to just be clear,
Yeah.
like be consistent, be sure. Right. Because I think
Trust.
that, right. I think that as a business owner, there are 3 different things that like I think trust in a lot of areas, it comes from confidence. It comes from clarity. Like when I can depend on you, when there's a standard that is already set, I know that I can let go just a little bit, not all the way yet. I'm not to the all the way point just yet. And in a business, like you've got to trust a few different people. So just to like set the tone here as a CEO, if you're still operating as a CEO and not as a business owner, talk about that on January 7th. Get your ticket. Love to have you in the room. You have to trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, then it's going to show, it's going to leak out in the way you make decisions, the way you talk to your team, the way you do projects, it's going to leak out. So trusting yourself, trusting your business, like your business, it has to have systems and backups. Like what happens when you get sick, when something goes wrong, when things don't go right, or how are you impacted by your business? Trusting that your business will not impact you negatively, but also trusting your team, that your team has your back, that they know what they're supposed to be doing, and that they're going to get the job done, whether you are there or not. So, Joe, which of those do you think you have the hardest time trusting? Let's get real.
Oh, geez. Okay, so I would say probably that trusting others. I get it. Sometimes when you don't know people, you don't trust that they're going to um, be consistent, right? Because that's one of the things, right? Once you're consistent, you're confident, then you're clear, and then it all works together, right? That's how it all comes together. Because it's the more consistent that we are, other individuals can now start relying on us. Now we're all clear of how everything works.
Right.
We're all going to be more confident. So I think from my perspective, sometimes it's that initial trying to connect with someone, and just like they're, leery of me, I'm of them. But once we start to build that, consistency, and every time that we schedule something, we're on time, we're always doing what we have to do, then that's it. Now we build some confidence.
Absolutely. Like I think I have the opposite trust problem with like I also have a hard time trusting other people. Like as somebody who's run multiple businesses for myself, I've been an entrepreneur now for over a decade, and I typically know I can do anything if I kind of focus hard enough. But when it's time to like trust other people, it's not that I don't trust them to get the job done. I have a hard time trusting people with boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time getting like that they're actually going to follow the rules that I have set forth. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, we talked about boundaries, rules, expectations, and standards in our last live call last Tuesday. If you haven't watched it, go back. It was a really, really fun one. Because I have like boundaries were the first thing that I created when I became an entrepreneur. Like, hey, I now get to control how I spend my time. And then also creating the rules and the setting the expectations and creating the standards for everybody else to have to follow. I'm not always great at communicating those, so it's not always their fault.
Okay.
But it's like, okay, but here are the boundaries. But my boundaries are my own, so they don't always know what they are. And so it's just like, hey, you can't text me on Saturday morning unless your website is down or you're on fire. And if you're on fire, don't call me, call 911.
So there's an alternative.
Right?
That's automation.
Exactly. There's an alternative how. Like, hey, if then situations are happening here, let's follow the bridge all the way down. It makes life easier for all of us. And we end up like not wanting to kill our clients.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit.
Absolutely.
All right. So
well, my
we've been
question
talking
to
a
you.
lot about
Oh yeah, my question was like, so when does this trust start breaking down? How is that? What causes that?
So unfortunately, like we learned from a very young age that trust is typically given until you break it. For a lot of people. And then of course we go through trauma, childhood, things happen, and it becomes harder for us to trust other people. Like I've been let down in business before by trusting the wrong people. Bad things have happened. I've managed to claw my way back out of it. Same thing in my personal life. But as a CEO, as somebody who's running a business, trust breaks down once I don't get the results that I was promised. Like once it comes where we have to have a hard conversation, like when expectations have not been met, or when people are, or honestly, sometimes like when I rush into things like, hey, I want to get this done and I'm going to trust against my better judgment, against due diligence, because you're a nice person. And that's not how you should be when you are a business owner. Like, I think it's nice to have a great heart and all, but let's think with our brains. And for a lot of my clients that I work with, it comes in the form of over promising and like an over delivering. They're like, hey, I'm going to do all these things to make your life super easy and fun and fluffy. And they just gave themselves a ton of homework, and they tend not to properly, compensate themselves for that additional homework. And
That
that's,
happens.
that's one place that I know that I used to be guilty of a lot, was just like over promise. I will give you the world for $1,000, basically. Is I think where a lot of people start out, and like you get into the $1,000 trap. What about you? Like, where does how does that, like, does that sound like some of your clients every once in a while?
It does. It does. I mean, so everyone's really lucky because when they come to see us January 7th, there's going to be a lot given to them in exchange for that day. So, because you're over promising already, but you will over deliver, which is fantastic. So I think, yeah. So one of the biggest things is from all the different businesses that I've had, it's always under promise and over deliver. So that way you can start to
Absolutely.
build that trust with the individuals where they know. So even when it just comes to deadlines, if I know that it's due, that I can do it by Tuesday, I will always say I'll deliver it by Thursday. Because if I
Right.
deliver it by Tuesday, they're ecstatic. But if I say Tuesday and I deliver Thursday, then I'm a bad guy. It doesn't
Yeah.
work,
It
So yeah.
doesn't.
So always, just under promise and over deliver.
I've heard that one in like my brain. So I actually grew up. So I changed that. I was trained the opposite way. So I used to work in a tax office, and what they would do is like they get all of these tax returns, and it took us like maybe 45 minutes to an hour and a half for a standard tax return to get through. But if people dropped off their tax return for us to do, like we always like quote 2 weeks. The thing is done in like 2 days. Okay, it's sitting in a drawer somewhere. But like for that particular business model, like we would hold it, 'cause, like we didn't want it to look like we could take on so much or that. And for some people, and this is something that I've come across a lot as well, that we don't want to give the illusion that it's not valuable because it happened quickly.
Right.
Like just because I can build your website in 2 days doesn't mean it's not worth the price tag if it took me 3 weeks.
Sure. Absolutely.
You know?
What is the value, right? What is the value
Right.
to them? So, and I think some people have a little bit of an issue with that when there's different pricing, when they look at pricing and they're like, well, if it only takes you X amount of hours, why are you charging me X? And then there's a lot of background work and there's a lot of learning and structuring that had to get done prior to that. It just happens that probably you're only seeing a couple of hours today and you're seeing just the outcome. So, but what is the value to your organization or your business today? That's what's most important. So they have to focus a little bit more on that. And I think that's also another thing. If we sometimes explain that, that's also another way that we can build trust with our clients.
Absolutely. Like I think I'm sure that especially around Black Friday, we're in the holiday season, Christmas is coming up. There is no shortage of consumer who has not been let down by a company, by a brand, gotten the wrong product, the wrong size, the wrong day, all the things. And so we have to learn, like not necessarily like we can't hold grudges, unfortunately, when it comes to consumerism. Like it makes like you would end up like having to grow your own food and it would suck. Depending on where you live in the world and how much you enjoy growing your own food. I do not. Um, but for a lot of people, it's like, we'll go, how? So once trust is broken, like how do you rebuild that trust? Like I think we've had many brands over the years try to make amends for some of the bad things that they may have done, whether it was on social media regarding race, religion, age, all the no-nos you should not mention when you are on TV or in a group of people that you do not know very well. And like, so for me, I think about like when it comes to value. So there was a story a friend of mine was telling, like he tells a story all the time. So there was a stockbroker. So of course, everything lived by the minute, right? So everything has to happen right when it's supposed to happen. AI did not exist during the story. So no, there was no AI agent to go and, call the put or whatever. And one morning he wakes up and his computer's broken. So he's like frantic because of course he can't make money if his computer doesn't work. So he calls his computer shop like 3 blocks away. He gets up, runs, takes his computer to the shop. The guy's like, okay, looks at his computer, sees what's going on. So it'll be like $500 to fix your computer. It's like, all right, cool, no problem. Gives him $500. The guy goes ahead. He turns the computer over. He takes a screwdriver. He turns one screw, just one. computer works. And the guy's like, well, why charge me $500? Like all you did was turn one screw. I could have done that. And so the computer owner was very happy to write him a receipt. And it simply said, turning one screw, $1. Knowing which screw to turn, $499. You are paying for the years of experience and the years of knowledge and the ability to get the job done. Like, granted, like he could have said $500 and it takes him 3 days, but would you really want to pay him $500 if you need your computer right now to get your job done and makes you some money?
Absolutely.
Probably not.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you need to change something in your business today to make that difference or to, make more money. You don't have 2 years to go through the learning curve to get there. We need to start making profit or more profit today. And,
Right.
And that there's a value to that, and there's an exchange. And, if you want to wait 2 years to make the profit, then, hey, that is your prerogative. You can do that too. But if you want it today, this is what it may cost. So
absolutely. Like there's a time value of money. Like even things that are happening today, like I had a call with Virtual Coffee recently, last couple of weeks. And we were talking, and lovely girl, we were talking about different ways to help nonprofit organizations get the help that they need. And she really wanted to be the person to do this for them. And I'm like, okay, so as a marketing specialist, as an expert, systems builder, what can I do to help? And her initial response was, well, hey, if you can teach me what I need to know so I can go help them, then I can go help them. And I had to explain to her in a very nice way that would be the greatest waste of her time. Because she was already so gifted. She had an MBA. She's already working in the nonprofit organizations for 2 or 3 different ones. They're rebuilding their ecosystem. It's like, why would you want to take time to learn from me? Like, just give me to them, because that's going to be worth more. One, to them, they get more of the information, but you get to spend your time in your zone of genius. And zone of genius is super, super important these days. But I think we're getting a little bit off topic, because I can go down the value hole all day long.
Totally.
But I think that even in that advice, it's trusting the people that you have in your circle, and it's building that relationship to say, hey, even if I have an idea that doesn't necessarily fit the mold, there are people who will tell me that, who can help me figure out which way to go. So again, trusting others. Like there are rooms I've paid to be in, there are rooms I've been granted access to. And the value of getting into those rooms and the things I've been able to do has been absolutely awesome. But I wouldn't have been able to step into those rooms if I did not, 1, trust myself, and 2, I did not trust my business. Like, hey, I can't scale my business if I don't know if it's going to work at scale. It becomes a crap show of a lot of moving pieces and a lot of overworking and overpromising and under-delivering because I'm overwhelmed, right? And so, unfortunately, I have to admit that in my lifetime as an entrepreneur, I have disappointed a few people. I say sorry, it happens. We do overpromise sometimes. We're not able to get everything done. And so when it comes to keeping that relationship alive, it's very important for us to know how to rebuild trust, right? So what do you do once it's been broken? And so, Joe, what advice do you have around that? Like, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, going back and forth, with your client, and actually we're going back to what we had said of under promising and over delivering, but then going back and reviewing and then working with your client over and over to build that trust. The more they understand your process and you understand their process, and they understand your value, and they understand the value that you're sharing with them, but you understand the value that you're offering them. So those two are extremely important. Now, by doing that often, what you're doing is rebuilding that relationship. You're putting that back together, and it's sort of like a personal relationship, right? It's we're people after all. Businesses, that's the name, but it's an organization, but still it's a reflection of the individuals that are working in that organization. So we have to build those relationships the way we would rebuild with someone in our family or friends.
Yeah. I think a lot of times we forget that we are just people selling to people. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like, granted, what we do does have economic impact, like for a business, but we're still just dealing with people. I think that I'm huge on communication, but like for me, when that trust breaks down, what I'm looking for out of a person, like whether it's me that has broken that trust or someone else has done that with me, I tend to look for ways to rebuild the credibility. It's like, give me a reason it didn't work. Like, I'm sure you did not intentionally drop the ball. So what can I hold on to, or what can we do to fix this or to edit or and I think for a lot of consumers, it just comes down to like just reviews. It comes down to finding ways to anchor credibility. Right. So whether it's check-in calls, it's like you said earlier, like we're just human. So helping them understand your process. So, hey, this week, here's what we did. We are on track. We're not on track. We're behind a little bit. We're ahead a little bit, if that's available in your business. But also, if it is broken, like, how do you recover? Like, I know I had a mentor of mine, like, hey, if you have to cancel a meeting last minute, make sure you offer them something in exchange. So if you're canceling like within an hour, hey, well, can we move this to Monday and I'll give you an extra 30 minutes at no charge or whatever, if you're charging for your time. Like, how can you make that happen? And when you're able to do that, when you do communication is a true gateway to building trust. Like transparency and follow through, like using automation and dashboards to create that reliability without overworking yourself really keeps everyone informed. And like I said, it keeps the expectations set, but it also moves the goalpost without it being like a complete upheaval. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds awesome. I mean, you always get right to the point, which is very nice. But going back to that, you're right. I mean, we are just people, and they have things that happen in their lives and things that happen in our lives. And sometimes when we're doing those checkups, those reviews, those discussions, that communication, that's where we're sharing some of that information. And sometimes maybe that's why you're always late on a Tuesday. Maybe that's when you have to pick up your kids. I don't know. But guess what? If we communicate that, then I just understand that every Tuesday you're just going to be a little late because that's what happens. And then it doesn't break the trust. What it does is it just says, I understand your situation. You understand mine, because maybe Thursdays I'm a little late because of the same reason. So now we both can, sort of share that information, and we just have an understanding. So that's how you really, really build trust. It's communication. I guess it goes back down to the basics, right? Communication. Communication.
It's like real estate. Location. For
That's
us,
right.
Communication, people. And I'm that way with everything. It's like, look, if you're gonna be late on your invoice, just let me know. Like, I'd rather not charge you the late fee. If you just tell me you're gonna be late, I'll waive the late fee. Usually it just goes away. Absolutely. But I don't want to chase you for it either. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'll say, so Joe, my question to you before we get ready to sign off to here is, so what's one area where trust has, or what's one thing that's happened where trust has been able to get you through a hard time?
Oh, I have some great stories actually when it comes to trust. I've worked with many attorneys for many, many years, and what I've done is that I've always done what I've said I was going to do. And in one incident, I actually was out of the country due to a family loss, and I couldn't purchase the specific property because I wasn't there for the closing. And literally, my attorney purchased the property with his money, and because he knew that I was trustworthy enough, and then I was able to just reimburse him when I returned back into the country. So that's one example that trust that I had built over the years actually paid off for me. You never knew that would be something that one day was gonna be needed, but it did. And here I am. So that was one way that the trust, actually paid off for me.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Like it can be so hard to trust the people. It's like trusting the unknown is the hardest part of a business owner. Like when you hire a coach, like for me, like hiring coaches was where my trust was tested in my business. No doubt about it. I remember the first time I spent, 4 figures on a person to tell me what to do. And I'm like, I didn't want my parents doing it to me for free, but I'm going to give you money to do it. And we're going to trust that this is going to yield results. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Since doing that, I've hired more coaches. Because we said earlier, there is a time value to education and entrepreneurship. There's a time value in being able to just trust other people to help you. Like, I think that we don't give each other enough credit for that. Because like trust it's not a vibe. There's we look really like, I just trust this person. They're a really great person. But it's like sometimes when you can't trust other people, the trust you have for yourself is enough. Like, I know if this person does not deliver, I can still make it through, or it will be okay. I can, like, my business will support this change. And sometimes it's not, it's a combination of trust and faith. That's be a whole different conversation that we can get into.
Absolutely. But, I was just thinking about this right now. One other way that you can actually carry over or carry some of that trust to someone else, that's when you introduce other individuals to work together. So if I trust Tarletta for a specific project and then I introduce her to one of my other clients, now my client can have some level of trust based on that carryover. So that's truly important to work together and to share some of those leads. And that's one of the reasons that often, like today in the description, you'll see our LinkedIn accounts. It's because let's connect, let's work together. And if you need something or you need an introduction, let us know. Let us carry that over. If you need us to introduce you to someone else because you want to carry that trust to someone else, let us know. And you can do that with other people within your network as well.
Absolutely. Like, I think like edification isn't given enough attention these days. It's like the ability for you to speak on someone's behalf is absolutely incredible. It makes me feel really good when other people talk me up. I'm like, oh, you think I'm awesome. Great. But also when I'm able to tell people that, hey, I know somebody who's really great at solving the problem that you're currently having right now. And when it comes to building those relationships, we say a lot of times, like we said today a lot, communication is key. And as a CEO, as the running operator of your own business, being able to build those relationships is going to be so vital to your ability to get out of your business and become a business owner as well. So, Jill, this has been an amazing conversation as usual.
No, wait.
Go ahead.
Wait, stop.
Oh, no.
I promised to talk about my list.
Oh,
in the last 2 episodes.
You did promise. I'm sorry, I'm rolling credits to you.
If you didn't watch the other 2 episodes, you have to watch that. But in every episode, I'll always mention what a priority it is to have a list and to follow that list. So one of the things that you have to have in your to-do list is make sure that you have the networking, the connections, and go onto LinkedIn and connect with 10 new people this week. That's huge. Make sure you put that on there. Start building your network so that way you can start building trust. So I did it. I had to say it. I'm going to hold myself back.
That's the one piece on this list. Go to LinkedIn, make 10 new connection requests this week. Build your network. I think networking is one of my favorite marketing strategies. Like, I'm very organic with my marketing. So he is absolutely right. Doing that will help a ton because people are able to see your content. Like, I'm super picky over who I connect with. I'll be very honest. But as I do build my network, I do trust more people with my feed, because like even trusting people with my news feed is a real thing for me. It's like, do I want to see your stuff? Do I not want to see your stuff? It's a real thought process. It's a real thought banger for me. So thank you, Joe, for sharing us that piece of your list. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And like I said, so these last 3 conversations, we've had some really good fun, Joe. So again, CEO habits that build momentum, habits that keep us in control, and today, habits that help build trust. Like, if I am if I am the chief executive operator of my business or officer of my business, most of us are operators, let's be completely honest, then understanding how these 3 things work together will change the way that you look at your business. And over these 3 conversations, we've had the pleasure of being able to tell stories. We've laughed. We've shared some embarrassing moments. But what I really want to drive home is that this is just a conversation. Like, wait till you get us in a classroom, okay? Like, we're going to be there for, it's an 8-hour day, whether you are local or cross country or international. We would love to have you. We are only accepting 12 people into this one-day masterclass because we want to make sure we can give you the attention and the time that you need to understand what it's like to, one, be a CEO in your business, but also remove yourself as the CEO of your business. So everything from decision making, setting boundaries, creating operations, creating roles, and understanding where you fit in the kitchen of your business. If you don't understand that one, go back and listen to ones that build momentum. And I would love to have you guys in the room January 7th. I would just send me a message, send me a DM, or connect with me, and I'd love to tell you more about it. Anything from you, Joe?
Absolutely. So yes, the link is down in the description, whether you're watching it on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. We're going to have all those out there. And again, connects, ask questions. You need to find out more about the event. What are we doing? What you're having for lunch. We've actually already even worked on a great menu. So, we really thought about absolutely everything. We're going to take a step further. And we're also not just doing the personal as a CEO, but also we want to have to infuse all of the things that are going to improve your process, your workflows. We'll talk about AI. We'll talk about workflows. We'll talk about automation. We're going to talk about improving yourself, your team. So it's all of it. It's going to be a huge day with all these different elements. But by the time that you leave, you'll definitely just look back and say, wow, one day can really change my life. And then after that, we're going to have a lot of different follow-ups and things that we're going to discuss. And we'll share with you how we're going to work together as a community. So that way you can move forward and improve your business, not just from that one day, but moving forward, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, and we can just get back to that. So again, thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to speaking with you soon.
All right. Bye, guys.
Take care.